and dolls, and welcome back to Queenie of London. Thank you so much for joining me again today. It's lovely to see you. I hope you've all had a blimmin' brilliant week and are looking forward to the weekend. I also noticed that there are a few newbies amongst you, so hello especially to you and welcome to my channel. Now today I'm your ticket to a sold out London exhibition, so you get yourself something nice to eat and drink. Stay right where you are in your living room and you can come along with me for something very glamorous, I think. Now, I never not pay a visit to the V&A without paying a pre-visit pop into Robert Frew Books. This is an antiquarian bookshop, which is lovely, and he also sells prints, as you can see. He started life out at the original Camden Market in the 1970s, and I think he's now got a pretty good location. Let me show you. He's right, the Oratory, and there's the V&A, so there's where it is. So if you're in the vicinity, this is where you want to come and pop into, have a browse through those very enticing trolleys. Robert Frew, rare antiquarian books. So I really enjoy this little bench that they have right here opposite the V&A entrance. Is a rather prime position to sit for really good photos. So I thought I'd sit here and just tell you that we're going inside today to have a look at the very successful Chanel Manifesto exhibition. Now, I actually had a ticket for this when it first opened in September last year, and something happened at home, so I wasn't able to go, unfortunately, and I could never get my hands on a ticket again because it's sold out. Now, I think it was just at the beginning of January they were extending the exhibition until March, so I waited in an online queue for an age, but I managed to get myself a ticket. So finally I'm going in to have a look at this incredibly successful exhibition. It's had rave reviews. It's been called dazzling. It's been said that it brings drama to dresses, so I'm excited to see how everything's displayed. It actually started in the Palais Galleria in Paris. That's where it started in 2020. Then it went to Melbourne and it's been to Tokyo. So this is another stop on its little tour. There's over 200 ensembles, I think, in here, and it's the first UK retrospective of Chanel. So without further ado, we'll get on inside, but I'm a little bit early, so I think we should go and have a coffee and cake, don't you? See you in there, guys. Before I pop in, if you twizzle round on your very prime position bench, viewing area of the V&A, this was the home of Henry Cole, who was the first director of the V&A. So in the morning he just toddled out his door after his tea and kippers just across the road to what was then the South Kensington Museum. Pretty easy commute, don't you think? One of my favourite London urban myths is that which claims the interlinked C's on lampposts in Westminster are linked to Coco Chanel. From 1923, Chanel was romantically involved with the then Duke of Westminster, Hugh Grosvenor. They had a 10-year-long love affair which could never result in marriage. There have been many Duchesses of Westminster, Chanel proposedly stated, but there is only one Coco Chanel. The urban myth is that the Duke had Chanel's monogram engraved into every lamppost across the Grosvenor estate next to his own as a token of his undying love. The lampposts, however, were installed in the 1950s, and the interlinked Cs, rather less unglamorously, stand for County Council. The world's first ever museum cafe was here at the V&A. Henry Cole, the founding director, believed that having a refreshment room was a way to encourage people to come out and enjoy culture. The original was placed at what was the front of the museum to try and entice passers-by with tempting smells and happy sounds. The 3 rooms I'm about to peek you into were opened in 1868. Cole wanted these rooms to represent a range of contemporary design, so he commissioned 3 designers to come in and work their creative magic. The first is the Pointer Room. You can see the surround for what was an open range. Painter William Pointer included sets of painted tiles to represent the months, seasons and signs of the zodiac, as well as portraits of women from classical literature. All the tiles are painted by female students of the National Art Training School. The second central space is the Gamble Room. Newspapers of the day compared it to the cafes of Paris. On the walls are cherubs harvesting food. There are huge central columns, stained glass and a particular sort of tile first brought to England via the Great Exhibition. And then there's the Morris Room. When he was hired by Cole, William Morris was a newcomer on the scene. He wanted to incorporate Gothic Revival features and Elizabethan panelling into his room. The room is carved in a plaster relief of olive boughs and a frieze of hounds chasing hares. There are definite hints to be found here of the patterns that would later make Morris a champion of the arts and crafts movement. The Green Room, which was apparently meant to be blue, came to be a popular meeting place for artists of the day including Whistler, Pointer and George du Maurier. You could also take your slice of Queenie approved V&A lemon cake and pull up a chair in the gorgeous setting of the Garden Cafe. This is a real treasure right in the heart of London, and it is perfect on a summer's day. So here we are at the entrance to the Sainsbury Gallery. We enter through this black cube, descend the stairs and enter into this circular space which gives an overview of the chronology of Chanel's 60 years in fashion. The life of Gabrielle Chanel must be one of the ultimate rags to riches stories. She was born in a poorhouse in Saumur, France in 1883, and throughout her life tirelessly committed herself to mythologizing her background, dressing her own history in layers to flatter and to conceal the truth beneath. It is because of this that her story is a particular source of fascination to many, her character and complexity in many ways woven into the story of her clothes. Added to this is the fact that she designed for herself and wore her own creations. During her times, her practical yet stylish clothes challenged the status quo of haute couture and sought to release women's bodies from their corseted prisons. She designed modern clothes according to principles of comfort, simplicity and ease of movement. These things were the founding focus, the Chanel Manifesto. Across the board, from clothing to jewellery to shoes to perfume to handbags, Chanel held true to her pure line that was entirely her own. She combined elements of the masculine and feminine, utility and luxury. Because of the Manifesto and her unwavering commitment to it, Chanel's aesthetic was able to remain continually relevant. The first item we saw back there was the ivory silk jersey blouse from 1916. It was such a brilliant choice of piece to open the exhibition, as it so thoroughly represents the crux of Chanel's design manifesto. Firstly, because of the material from which it was made. During the First World War, by which time Chanel had already opened 2 boutiques, material normally associated with couture and ladies' fashions was hard to come by. There was, however, plenty of jersey which was used to make male undergarments. Chanel took up the fabric and revolutionised it, creating a collection of jersey daywear. She soon turned to silk jersey for her spring and summer collections because it was lighter. The blouse on display is one of the earliest surviving examples of fine gauge silk jersey previously used as a textile for underwear and stockings. It reveals Chanel's role as an innovator in terms of the use of fabric. With its lack of corseting and minimal decoration, it also aptly symbolises her whole design ethos. At the time, there was no one designing for women the way Chanel was, with women's changing role in society in mind. Also back there, we saw a hat, appropriately placed at the start of the exhibition as a nod to the beginnings of Chanel the brand. It was in 1910, thanks to the collaborative financial backing of her lovers Balsan and Boy Capel, that Chanel opened her first millinery boutique at 21 Rue Cambon. It was the height of La Belle Epoque, and Chanel Mode, as it was called, was a hit with the wealthy, fashionable women of Paris. The hat on display is soft and unstructured, made from an open looped braid and designed to be collapsible and portable. The magazine above was Le Mode and shows a well-known actress wearing a Chanel creation. Increased patronage of those in the public eye greatly helped to catapult Chanel to success. Something which might have jumped out at you was a pair of bathing costumes in an electric blue and bright pink. These are from 1924. Seaside towns were crucial to Chanel's success. She opened her second boutique, her first clothing shop, at Deauville in 1913 and another in Biarritz in 1915. It was this store that earned her own financial independence. Boy Capel, who financed the Deauville store, wrote to her years later saying that he had bought her a hobby and ended up giving her her freedom. She was able to move her Rue Cambon boutique to number 31, a larger, more luxurious space. She was now a long way away from the poorhouse and performing as Coco on the music hall stages in the garrison town of Moulins. There were so many beautiful designs on show in these opening spaces, and I do hope you're enjoying seeing them. You'll probably get an inkling for which ones I was particularly taken with by just how long I left my camera running whilst I was gazing away. The trouser suit with the white ruffle blouse underneath is part of the V&A's collection, so I have seen it before, but it never fails to impress. It's from 1937 and it just looks so ahead of its time. The perfect representation of how it was the fashion world who had to catch up with the ideas of Chanel and never the other way around. I'm going to pause here a bit to explain a little of Chanel's wartime story. During the Second World War, Chanel's customers requested that her boutiques be kept open for morale, but she was forced to lay off her staff and close the house of Chanel when the Germans attacked in May 1940. Only one perfume shop remained open. Coco fled before the bombing in June, and France surrendered. Chanel believed that having protected her fashion business through one world war, she might be able to steer it through another. So in August, she returned to Paris and to her apartment at the Ritz, which soldiers in occupied Paris were using as headquarters. She was living side by side with Nazi officers and selling perfume to their wives. She met a German officer, a Nazi spy known as Spatz. Coco wanted his help to get her nephew released from imprisonment, and they became lovers. Chanel became involved in a sinister plot in which she, using the connections she had made with the British during her time romantically involved with Hugh Grosvenor, could play a role in ending the war. She went to Berlin. This was where the Operation Modelhut was conceived. It is thought that Chanel was to be used as bait to lure Churchill to a meeting to be persuaded to make peace in terms favourable to the Nazis. The British did not take the bait, but it left Chanel to be on record as a collaborator in a Nazi plot. After France was liberated, collaborators were rounded up. Chanel was given an arrest order and named a Nazi spy and collaborator. She was released, we don't know why. The effect on her reputation, though, was detrimental, and she fled to Switzerland where Spatz was waiting for her. She stopped designing altogether, but lived in luxury. It was the new look of Dior, which launched in 1947, that in part motivated Chanel's return. She saw it as going against everything she had sought to do to liberate women's bodies. In 1954, she began to prepare for the most important collection of her life. For a dramatisation of this, have a look at Karl Lagerfeld's short film, The Return. It's here on YouTube, and it is a good watch. Chanel returned to Paris in February to launch the collection. The French press was scathing, as were the British. Were it not for the Americans and their praise, it is likely that none of what we are about to see would exist. Here we find ourselves in the suit room. Although it was originally conceived in the 1920s, the suit is considered to be the defining garment of Chanel's post-war contribution to fashion. In 1964, Vogue described this fabric-based declaration of modern femininity as the world's prettiest uniform. Here was ease and comfort combined with chic simplicity, a cult classic that, unlike any other example, has truly withstood the test of time. Ever classy and never incongruous, any one of these suits could be put on in the here and now. It thus becomes the very embodiment of Chanel's own words, "Style is eternal." It was in 1935 that Chanel introduced the original idea for a suit at an intimate showing in the salon above her Paris boutique. By this point, she had already become known for traversing the boundaries between masculine and feminine dress. She once attended the races with her lover Balsan, wearing one of his ties and a jacket belonging to one of his male friends. Tweed, the dominant fabric used to make the suits, was not considered to be a material of particular luxury and therefore not used in couture. When it was used, it was for garments intended for men. However, by adding other materials, textures and colours, Chanel feminized the fabric while simultaneously rejecting stiffness and any sort of padding. Chanel's innovations allowed for greater freedom of movement. The jackets had a cardigan-like cut and the simple skirt sat comfortably on the upper hip. So although colours and trimmings were altered and varied, the silhouette crucially remained the same. Over time, the suits would also come to bear distinctive features such as custom buttons and a stitched-in chain inside the jacket hem. From one Chanel masterpiece to another giant synonymous with the House of Chanel, the 255, the quilted dream of a handbag named after the month and year it was born. This timeless classic has swung on the arm or nestled onto the shoulder of many a well-dressed beauty, including Mia Farrow, who carried multiple different ones throughout the film Rosemary's Baby in 1968. Those shoes back there, they were a prototype which became the formula for Chanel heels. Done in soft beige leather, matching Chanel's own skin tone of course, to lengthen the leg, and tipped with black to make the foot appear smaller. Always with one eye on practicality, ease of movement and comfort, there's an elasticated strap, a lower heel height and a silk satin lining. The rather glamorous space we've just entered displays items under the collective heading Into the Evening. These breathtaking creations represent Chanel's continued focus on evening wear into the 1950s and beyond. Chanel adapted her tweed suits, which were usually associated with day wear, to include a range specifically intended to wear at night. Known as cocktail suits, they follow the same winning, much-loved formula as the day suits, but they have a little extra dazzle. As you can see, the fabrics used are richly decorative. Feel your jaw drop at gold and silver lames, textured weaves, intricately patterned silk. Lurex, a newcomer on the scene of post-war textiles, also makes an early, groundbreaking appearance. A woman after my own heart, Chanel loved a sparkle in golden hues, harking back to the shimmer created by the glittering beads and sequins which had adorned the evening wear favoured by many a post-war flapper. You'll be able to tell which ones I love the most by just how long I let the camera linger. Probably one of the stars of this section was this tunic and shorts set from 1966. It thoroughly captures Chanel's continued relevance even within that decade of incredible dynamism and change. At the time, the press loved it, but crucially, so too did a younger, very influential clientele. This embroidered Indian tunic and Bermuda-style culotte suit was Chanel's elegant equivalent to the ever-rising miniskirt. This get-up was famously worn by model Marissa Berenson, who was in fact the granddaughter of Chanel's greatest female rival, Elsa Schiaparelli. Hidden away at the close of this section was a little alcove cum treasure trove housing a selection of Chanel accessories. Famously known for costume jewellery and its potential to beautify, Chanel enjoyed both the real deal as well as some of the not so real. All that glitters and all that. Now, when I first stepped into this scene, this climactic explosion of Showstoppers, I was completely blown away. That staircase of heaven is done to resemble the cubist faceted mirrored staircase that links Chanel's second floor apartment to her haute couture salon below at 31 Rue Cambon. The original was created in the 1920s and Chanel would perch on the fifth step to watch her shows. There's many a gorgeous photo featuring Chanel-clad models descending and posing on this staircase. Much like Chanel's creations themselves, the space was immaculately presented. I walked around and around it several times before I filmed anything at all. Appropriately titled Always Alluring, this final collection knocked my socks off. I saw actual versions of dresses I'd only ever seen photos of and ones that I didn't even know existed. It was like stepping into a fantasy. It currently seems to be quite the trend for museums and galleries to put on exhibitions that are immersive. Let me tell you, this is my idea of immersion. This is what an exhibition should do. Draw you in, make you want the details, take a hold of your imagination. Surrounded by so many Chanel creations presented in such a way, I was transported to that boutique on the right bank. What we have here are Chanel cocktail dresses, relaxed versions of the formal occasion dress, and I love them because so many of them are born from or contain nods to the aesthetics and ideas of her past creations. Layered with the new, you can see, feel a history in them, and everything, in my opinion, is all the better for that added touch of past. These dresses of the 1960s recall the simplicity of the little black dress of the 20s. Although she continued to use lace, silk, velvet, chiffon, tulle, she also, ever true to form, was happy to create with newer, innovative fabrics such as nylon and developing synthetics. There's all the sequin embroidery you could dream of. I bet a few of you jackdaws out there spotted that glittering golden suit. From the 1910s, Chanel was known for often wearing semi-formal satin or chiffon evening pyjamas to entertain when she was at home. In the 60s, she brought that idea out from the back of her metaphorical wardrobe of ideas and released these. Slightly more tailored than the original, but still staying true to the relaxed cardigan-like fit of the day suit. They were given a little extra dazzle with glistening brocades and lames. Little wonder that Vogue described them delightfully as Chanel's dinner pyjamas. And so, after that dazzling display of show-stopping gowns following on from room after room of knockout creations, we stepped out into a space containing books about Chanel the woman and one final dress. It was a fitting close, I thought, mirroring the simplicity of that silk jersey shirt which was chosen to be the first greeting piece. This black and white set with matching boater style hat was purchased for £1,430 by the V&A at an auction of Chanel's garments held at Christie's 7 years after her death. At the time, the sale was controversial, and there's no photographic evidence of Chanel ever having worn this particular ensemble, but it was characteristic of the designer enough that it was chosen as the item to illustrate the auction catalogue, and there's a beautiful photo of it being modelled in the Autumn-Winter '69 show. Guess where? On the stairs. So, did you enjoy that, guys? I really hope you did, and you really love seeing all those incredible displays. When you leave the exhibition space, you actually come up via the V&A bookshop, and of course, this was already mine, but they had that there. I really recommend this if you'd like to have a look on Vogue's perspective of Chanel. It's got some incredible images inside of there, a lot of which were in the exhibition actually. And then I really could not resist the official exhibition book. This is such a perfect coffee table book. It's immaculate. It's really beautiful, and it has some staggering images. You have like a lot of backstory, which I love at the beginning. I love this picture. It's just so elegant. And then all the way through you have, oh, there's the bathing suits, the first ever Chanel bottle. You have really brilliant images of the gowns, and I love that they've focused so you can enjoy a load of the details. I had to add this to my collection. I always like trying to get a exhibition book of the shows that I see at the V&A, especially when there's like a big fashion one. I have a Mary Quant one that I love, and I also have one for Records and Rebels, which is about revolution in the 1960s. There's also these fantastic photographs of famous women wearing the clothes. Oh, I just love it, and I cannot wait to have a proper good read through this. And so, my lovelies, I'm going to wrap this vlog up here for today. I really hope that the weekend is as gorgeous as it is today. It's beautiful out there, and it proper looks like spring is springing. Have a really wonderful time. Thank you so much for watching, and I really do hope you enjoyed. Take good care of yourselves until I see you again next week. Loads of love from London, Queenie.